Hello, welcome to another video for session 4. This is our demonstration video. My name's Peter Hayes. I'm a fellow student here at CCU. My major is in global apologetics, and I'll be speaking to you today about my profession and giving a little demonstration about it, some of the tools and equipment we use. Uh, as a demonstration. My field, what I do every day, Monday through Friday, is install solar panels on the tops of people's roofs. And this is how I know conclusively that Santa doesn't exist because I spend time on everybody's roof and I see no evidence anywhere of sleigh tracks or reindeer droppings or anything of the kind. So, you know, that was a little depressing finding that out. But anyway, the solar field is, for those of you who aren't aware, is part of this. Without getting into any of the politics or the science behind it, which is controversial, and this isn't the place for it. The solar field is a renewable energy field in which panels are put upon the tops of people's roofs, are then excuse me, run through wires down to your meter at the side of the house. And when the panels are on, they absorb the energy of the sun, and your house and all the electric in the house is run through the panels. This is, with the whole idea to offset the cost of electricity, and it's become increasingly popular these days. For those of you who are aware of the rising costs of electricity, and the growing energy crisis in Europe, and also that's kind of trickling its way over to America now. So it's becoming increasingly popular, and the government in certain states have also given incentives to homeowners and businesses, commercial businesses like Home Depots and places like that, in order to get solar panels. So even people who traditionally think that they may not be able to afford solar panels, with the added help of those incentives, probably can. Now, whether the cost is worth it in the long run, that's not my place here to talk about. I have my own opinions about those kinds of things. But anyway, I've worked in the field approximately, I think, 3 years. The money is pretty good. It's just like anything else that's booming in the beginning. It's kind of like the phrase "strike while the iron's hot." But anyway, I'll that's just a kind of a background on the industry itself. I brought some of my equipment and the material we use to install the panels. I couldn't bring a panel in here. They're 74 inches tall and 42 inches across. This is my living room. So, yeah. And in addition to that, I don't think anyone from the warehouse would be too impressed with the fact that I'm just making a school video as I walk out with a panel that they charge $1,000 for. So, yeah. But in any case, when you first get to a customer's house, the first thing you do is, obviously put up a ladder and get up on the roof. Some roofs are very steep, some are not, some are very high up. But anyway, you go up on the roof, and then you're given a design by the company itself that specifies on which roof the panels are going on, and in which design what the design is. And then you have to measure out accordingly on the roof using your tape measure and a piece of chalk or something of that kind, or a crayon, and try to figure out, using the dimensions of the panels, which are they're 74 inches tall, 42 inches across, and figure out whether the panels will actually fit according to the design that the company has given you. Now, most of the time, the design should fit because the company has sent out already their surveyors who have gone up ahead and measured out the dimensions of the roof, rather than just using satellite pictures, which some companies do and is not very effective. But anyway, once you get up there, then you measure out for the panels, you make sure they can fit, and you use this, which is an impact drill, and you put the battery in it like so. And yeah, The first thing that you do with this, well, first you use this, this is a flat bar. And this can be used for lifting shingles. But first, before you even get to that point, you have to find the studs that are on the roof. And in order to do that, you just use this edge. I'm not going to bang on the table here, but you start banging on the roof itself. Most studs in a roof, those are the beams that kind of go vertically across the roof. If you look up, they go vertically up to the ridge. Most of them they're either 16 inches in between or 24 inches. And so once you find your first stud, you using your drill, you have a pilot bit and you drill down into the stud. Then using this thing's 16 inches across, you measure over and you see if there's a stud 16 inches over. If there's not, then you just bang over another 8 inches, and usually you'll find the next stud. So if it's not here, then it's 8 inches across, or for 24. And then you send another, you drill into that, and you just go across until you reach the end of your design. And from there, you just work your way up, because you have to put in pieces of rail. Now, this is a very short one, but these things will go horizontally across the roof. Each panel will have 2 of these. So the panel lays kind of like this vertically, and there will be 2 of these going across the roof within the dimensions of the design horizontally. And the panel lays down flat on this and is anchored to the rail with one of these, which is an end cap, which just anchors on like this. It'll actually go like this. And this one's probably broken, but anyway, yeah, so the panel lay like this, and this just latches onto the side of the panel here. And then you use your drill to tighten it. And once the panel's on the rail, then you just work your way across until you're laying one panel side by side and tightening them with the drill until you get to the end of your design. And then at that point, you have to look underneath the panels and make sure the wires that you're using are actually managed up using these tiny little clips, which I don't have one with me. But you use these tiny little clips that hold the wire up off the roof, because if any of the wires from the panels or the ones that you've ran are touching the roof, then when the inspector comes after the job is done, you can fail the job. Or if the wires are laying on the roof, you run the risk of, during a rainstorm, or as water comes down the shingles, the water can get onto the wires or where they're connected to each other and cause a short, and then the whole system goes down, and then the system doesn't work. And so you just keep working your way up with the panels, 3-4 rows. It depends on how many panels. Some people only get 10 panels. Some people get 30. Some people get 40. I've done jobs in a day that have as many as 75. So it could be multiple roofs. It's not just one roof. Some houses have 3, 4, 5, 6 roofs on them. And so it really all depends on how many panels the person's getting. And all that depends on the contract they have with the company, how much energy how much electricity they use typically in a month. And then that number is taken to the electrical company, and then the solar company is in contact with the electrical company, and they negotiate kind of a point to where the person's energy consumption is being used by the panels rather than through the PPL or whatever your electrical company is. Some of that stuff's a little sketchy. Some of the solar companies will negotiate contracts that or they'll put too many panels on somebody's house, more than are necessary, in order to charge the person more. So you have to be careful with actually reading the contract and trying to understand how much you're producing and what you actually need. But in any event, I forgot too, after you find the studs, This piece here, this is called just a foot. This is what you actually send down into the stud. So the stud's coming down like this. You put this down over the hole that you originally drilled with your pilot bit, and you use this. This is called a lag. This goes down into the rafter itself like that. Then you take this and you send that down into the rafter. And so now that's like anchored. And what you're going to have then is for each row that these are going across, we'll have quite a few of these anchored down into the rafters. And so this will actually sit on here. It clips in. Not doing a very good job of showing it, but, and then you just tighten it like this. And so that's how this piece is actually anchored to the roof. I should have shown you that earlier, but I didn't. I forgot it was laying down there. But anyway, yeah, you'll have lots of these down into the roof, and then this sits horizontally across the roof, and you'll have, again, depending on however many panels you have, you'll have 2 rails for each panel, and then the panel lays across it like this, and then these are called end pieces. I mean, there's probably a more technical name for them, but that's what they are. They're end pieces, so that's what we call them. They are just cranked down with the drill onto the panel, and that's all that holds it. And when I first started doing it with this system, this is called rail system. There's a company called Trinity that uses rail system. There's other companies that do not use this system at all. They use a railless system, which I actually really prefer. My old company used to do that, and it's much easier than this, but it doesn't matter. They all have different systems, but the general idea is the same. You find the rafter, you send something that looks like this down into it, and it's anchored with a lag, and then in one fashion or another, the panel sits down in end clamps like this. Whether it sits on a rail or not, that's the general idea. But that's a brief overview of the material I use when I install solar. Anyone who does install solar is going to have at least the impact with the 1/2-inch bit. I didn't bring the lag bit or the pilot bit, and all the pilot bit is just it's about this long, and it has a threaded end to it, and then it's a 1/4 inch, and that's what you just drill down straight into the stud. And you drill it in about not even the whole way, because you want when you send this part down in, you want this to do most of the drilling so that it actually grips the wood. So you send the pilot bit in maybe about that deep in the stud. That's the general idea anyway. And then, of course, once all the panels are up, you have to, these things are always going to be a lot longer than, say you have 6 panels across the bottom of a roof. This part will always be a little bit longer, so you have to cut them off and put little end caps on them. And yeah, and then every company is going to have its what they call site capture, where you have to put all your pictures in to complete the install. So that's the basic idea of how to install solar panels. To someone just who's not familiar with it, I always find it's much easier to actually just watch somebody do it on a roof. And I wish I could have recorded myself doing that, but for many reasons, not possible. So these are the basic things that I use and how I use them and why we use them. And that's the general overview of a solar install, what I do every single day. So thank you.